Competitive sports, much like gymnastics, can get pretty intense, and with that comes injuries, drama, scandals, deaths, and much more. Now, there have been so many controversies that surround gymnastics that it is really hard to pinpoint the best one. Stay tuned to find out some of the biggest within the sport, and trust us, you don't want to miss this. First up, probably the most infamous sexual assault scandal involving former disgraced gymnastic doctor Larry Nassar. Megan Halasek, a 15-year-old gymnast, went to Dr. Larry Nassar with a fractured spine. However, Nassar assaulted her during what was supposed to be a routine appointment, again and again and again. Halasek testified in court back in January of 2018. "He abused me, all the while telling me stories about his Olympic journey," she continued. "I closed my eyes tight, held my breath, and felt like puking," she recalled. "Those feelings are still with me to this day." Now, Halasek is just one of more than 150 women who gave harrowing testimony at Nassar's sentencing hearing. Nassar was a former USA gymnastics doctor and sports medicine physician at Michigan State University, who ultimately pleaded guilty to criminal sexual conduct and federal child pornography charges. A judge then sentenced Nassar to up to 175 years in prison for his crimes, telling him, "I just signed your death warrant." On federal child pornography charges, the former doctor was already sentenced to 60 years in prison. So, who did this disgusting doctor impact? Well, Aly Raisman, Gabby Douglas, Simone Biles, and Michaela Maroney are all among the athletes who claim Nassar abused them. Maroney claimed Nassar sexually abused her every time I saw him, which amounted to hundreds of times. However, the vast majority were not well-known competitors. They were gymnasts, dancers, and volleyball players, as well as students. Nassar's reputation as a well-connected, talented doctor gained them confidence. It also contributed to their silence. The Nassar case is a part of a larger outpouring of stories about sexual assault and harassment in all settings, from Hollywood to hotel rooms, and the people in power who were either negligent or complicit in protecting the perpetrators. Now, even in light of recent headlines, the Nassar case is shocking. First, there are known victims. Around 300 women and one male athlete have now come forward, representing nearly as many victims as the Jerry Sandusky, Bill Cosby, and Harvey Weinstein scandals combined. And to make things even worse, many of the victims were minors who were abused in front of their parents while being medically examined. There is also evidence that Nassar's two elite institutions, Michigan State University and USA Gymnastics, were really slow to act on various reports that he was abusing girls and young women. So, why was he not charged sooner? Well, Nassar trained at the highest level with some of the most talented American gymnasts. He began working as an athletic trainer for USA Gymnastics, the governing body that selects Olympic teams, in 1986. He attended Michigan State University for medical school before becoming the chief medical coordinator for USA Gymnastics in 1996. He was photographed next to American gymnast Carrie Strug after her famous ankle injury at the 1996 Olympics. And he also attended the Games in Sydney in 2000, Beijing in 2008, and London in 2012. In addition, he was also on the faculty at Michigan State University, where he had taught and practiced medicine since 1997. So he was not only a well-known sports physician, but also a member of an academic institution. The Indianapolis Star published a damning expose in 2016 about USA Gymnastics' systematic failure to protect their young athletes from sexual abuse and to report allegations against their coaches to authorities. It opened the floodgates, resulting in dozens and dozens of allegations against Nassar. For example, Den Hollander had sought treatment from Nassar for lower back pain at his sports treatment clinic at MSU, and she claimed that the doctor digitally penetrated her without gloves, in both her vagina and anus. He also apparently unhooked her bra and managed to massage her breast while at the same time having a very visible erection. As you can see, the Larry Nassar case was huge within the gymnastics world, and without a doubt, one of the biggest controversies that no one saw coming. Next up, Chinese gymnasts were accused of cheating. The Chinese women's gymnastics team won the overall gold medal in 2008, and the Americans immediately suggested that some contestants on China's team were too young to compete. If you recall, one of the girls appeared to be missing a baby tooth. According to the New York Times, a consensus on whether the Chinese team was following the rules could not be reached due to a discrepancy between the online sports registration list and the International Gymnastics Federation. Now, this one isn't a specific perfect person, but deaths in gymnastics and the dangers of some stunts are highly controversial. A minor miscalculation can mean the difference between victory and disaster in this sport. And as the level of difficulty rises, so do the risks of serious injury. Veterans of the sport were stunned when Melanie Coleman, a gymnast at Southern Connecticut State University, died after falling off the uneven bars. Melanie Coleman, a 20-year-old college gymnast, was also a nursing student and a part-time gymnastics instructor. It's just not something that anyone can process, said her longtime personal coach, Thomas Alberti. While deaths in gymnastics are extremely rare, they have occurred. Julissa Gomez was 15 years old when she decided to pursue her ultimate dream of competing within the Olympics. But just a couple of months before the 1988 Seoul Olympics, she slipped on a springboard meant to propel her over the vaulting horse. The table vaulters bounced their hands off of before flipping in the air. Julissa's head then collided with the horse, rendering her paralyzed from the neck down. 3 years later, the 18-year-old died as a result of complications from her injury. Following Julissa's accident, the International Gymnastics Federation began allowing U-shaped maps around the vaulting springboard to help avoid this issue happening again. Unfortunately, more gymnasts were paralyzed after suffering catastrophic injuries on the vault. Adriana Duffy, a Puerto Rican gymnast, was paralyzed from the waist down after collapsing on her neck in 1989. Sang Lan, a Chinese gymnast, met a similar fate on the vault in 1998. The widespread concern about these vaulting disasters contributed to a significant shift in the future of gymnast safety. The thin vaulting horse, which was easy for gymnasts to miss in midair, was replaced with a much broader vaulting table, which gave gymnasts more room for error if their hands missed the mark. The American Kurt Thomas invented the Thomas Salto, which involved leaping into the air and performing 1.5 flips and 1.5 twists. Gymnasts landed upside down, rolling forwards on the backs of their shoulders, rather than on their feet. Elena Makina, a Soviet gymnast, broke her neck and became paralyzed while attempting a Thomas Salto in 1980. The move is now prohibited in international competition for both men and women. This year, Olympic champion Simone Biles introduced a double-double dismount off the balance beam, sparking a debate about dangerous skills. But what do you think? Should professional gymnasts tone it down on the tricks they do, or is it simply the risk you take when getting into a sport like gymnastics? Next up, the Barcelona bickerings, the highly contested 1992 Olympic all-around final, which resulted in a showdown between American Shannon Miller and Ukrainian Tatiana Gutsu, representing the unified team, is up first. Gutsu won the all-around title by 0.012 tenths of a second, the smallest victory margin in the sport's history. Although Miller performed nearly flawless routines throughout the night, with her lowest score coming from the vault with a 9.837, judges awarded the gold to Gutsu due to her impressive difficulty. A tight race to begin with, tension rises when you consider Gutsu did not even qualify for the all-around final. Gutsu's fall on the balance beam and prelims kept her from finishing in the top 3 of her team, preventing her from advancing. However, the unified team removed Rosa Galiva from the all-around competition so Gutsu could take her place and compete in the all-around final, knowing how capable Gutsu was of winning the entire competition. Lastly, the Sydney Olympics gymnastic controversy you need to know about. Finally, the Sydney controversy list would be incomplete unless the ages of the Chinese competitors were addressed. The Gymnastics Committee has long been concerned about age manipulation, but the issue became public in 2008 when Chinese gymnast Dong Fangchao applied for accreditation to serve as an official at the Beijing Olympics. Dong listed her birthday on the paperwork as January 3, 1986, which was not the date the FIG had on file, January 20, 1983. The conflicting birth dates prompted the International Gymnastics Federation, FIG, to launch an official investigation, which revealed in 2010 that Fangchao was in fact 14 during the 2000 Games, violating the rule that participants must be 16 in the year of competition. As Dong competed in the team final, in which the Chinese finished 3rd, the IOC took away the bronze medal and awarded it to the Americans who had previously been listed as 4th. Amy Chow, Jamie Dancer, Dominique Dawes, Kristen Maloney, Elise Ray, and Tasha Schwickert of Team USA had their medal ceremony ceremony and took place as Olympic medal winners 10 years after the Games. Despite the fact that Dong was the only gymnast found guilty, Feng Xiao's teammate Yang Yun was also being investigated. Yun was implicated when she stated in a press release that she was 14 at the time of the competition as well. The FIG, on the other hand, found no other evidence against Yun, so she was free to go. And there you have it. Thanks for watching!